Hi again, folks. This is your Serial Cynic once again. And it's been a couple of months, well, actually, it's been about a month since I've done a video. A big part of it had to do with the fact that I was so busy at work because I was going away on a 2-week vacation. Wanted to make sure I had everything in place before I headed off on this vacation. You probably can see the little tan up here, but I am back from this vacation now. As I often do, I go ahead and I show you guys a little bit of what I am looking at. I can't see something on this thing here, but let's just see. All right, you know what? I can't seem to flip the camera around at this point, so I'll go ahead and just show you guys where I'm at. I'm here relaxing in the Central Park Conservatory here in New York City, here in Upper Manhattan, northern part of Central Park in the Harlem area. You can hear the birds behind me. It's amazing because when I left from here 2 weeks ago, there were hardly any leaves on any of these trees. And I came back 2 weeks later to this. Again, hoping you're getting a chance to see it. All behind me, and you can probably hear the birds above my head chirping. Hope they don't do anything else other than chirp. Well, here I am. So while I was away for these 2 weeks, I was pretty much out of the loop, wasn't paying too much attention to what was going on in the world. But one of the things that came across my Facebook news feed was this controversy surrounding Kanye West with the comments that he made. I still have not seen the full interview, but I got a good chunk of it. I think I glanced at TMZ and I saw part of what he said. Now, I need to let everyone know something. I am not a rap fan. I really don't listen to rap music. Especially today. I really don't listen to much of this stuff. All I know about Kanye West in terms of a song he sung is Jesus Walks. And the only reason I know the song is because I saw him singing it on the Grammys or whatever it was years ago. If that's where I saw it, I don't know. So I don't know much more about him other than that. I know he's a controversial figure. I know he's married to Kim Kardashian, and I know he's done or made some outrageous statements. The only other thing I know about him is him going up on stage and taking the microphone from Taylor Swift and saying something about Beyonce. So I don't really follow the guy. I really don't know much about him per se, other than that he's an eccentric fellow. And believe it or not, as much as I don't know anything about him and I'm not a fan of his or whatever, I'm actually coming here to defend the guy. And when I say defend him, I don't mean fully, but to sort of take the edge off of what a lot of people are saying. Because when I first heard it, I really thought this guy was saying that slavery was a choice. As if to say people were signing up in Africa to go on this exotic Caribbean cruise to never come back and put themselves in shackles because it's a choice they wanted to make. That's what I thought, believe it or not. And I was like, this guy couldn't be that stupid to make a statement like that. I mean, he really cannot be that stupid. So I even joked about it, saying, I guess my ancestors chose to sign up for that all-expense-paid cruise to an exotic Caribbean destination. I was even joking about it because I thought it was really stupid of him to say something like that. But after listening to the little snippet of the interview that I heard, I pretty much gathered what he was actually trying to say, whether or not he stepped all over himself. And basically what he was saying, not like I need to tell you guys because I'm sure many of you have seen it already, but what he was really trying to say is, for the length of time that slavery continued, where Africans and their posterity were enslaved, for the length of time that it happened, and that it would continue to happen despite us having such huge numbers compared to the white oppressors, it must be that we wanted to stay in there. Okay? So, if we just stop right there, I understand what he was trying to get at. But his statement also shows a lot of ignorance, simpleness, not thinking it through. And here is why. First of all, well, before I get to that, let me get back to this. Let me give another illustration. I think we all know or have known someone who's been in an abusive relationship. We know them getting beaten up, clobbered, coming to work with black eyes. It could be even verbal abuses. And they may say, I'm going to get out of this, I'm going to get out. Or you provide them assistance in how to get out. Maybe they have resources in how to get out. They have the support of people to get out. They have family members who probably come over and they do some bodily harm to this person, and they can get out. They have all these different means of getting out. They have the power on their side, and they do nothing about it. They stay in it. And we mumble it to ourselves and say in our minds, well, I guess they might like that beating. I guess they might like getting beaten up. If you want to stay there, I guess you must love it. I guess that's what your choice is. I guess that's what you want to do. Well, I guess Kanye was looking at it in a similar type of situation. Look, you mean to tell me we have all these enslaved Africans to a few white folks here on a plantation and we never did anything about it? Another illustration I will give is this. I'm from the U.S. Virgin Islands, which is where I came back from. And in the U.S. Virgin Islands, we have an island known as St. Croix. On July 3rd, 1848, enslaved Africans and their children, their posterity, picked up, left their plantations, and started walking along the countrysides, some of them burning property and cane fields along the way. They were marching to a town in southwest St. Croix known as Frederickstead. They came into that town with their torches and with weapons in hand and basically told the Danish authority, or let the Danish authority, because the Danes were the one that owned the island at the time, or that ran the island at the time. And they came down there and they basically said, look, we're going to burn this town to the ground if we're not given our freedom today. The then acting Danish authority, his name was von Schulten. I guess he pissed his pants and right there on the spot ran to the town and declared all enslaved peoples in the then Danish West Indies, which are called the U.S. Virgin Islands today. He declared everyone free. Now, here's where it gets interesting. St. Croix became a part of the Danish West Indies in 1733. St. Thomas and St. John, they were a little bit earlier. I want to say about 50 years earlier or so, or maybe a little more, maybe a little less. And the Danes had slaves from as far back as then. Now my question is, and I guess this will fit into what Kanye was saying, for St. Croix at least, why did it take 115 years for what happened on July 3rd, 1848 to happen? What happened that day could have happened 5 years earlier, 20 years earlier, 100 years earlier. Now, I don't know all the factors that were involved that brought it to a head at that point, but the question becomes, why didn't it happen earlier? And I guess that lends credence to what Kanye West was saying. If there's so many more of us, why didn't we do something about it earlier? Why did we allow the nonsense to continue on for so long? Okay, now that I've defended Kanye in respect to that, again, as I said earlier, he's not looking at the full picture here. Couple of things. One, Kanye, as far as I know, is what you would consider an African American. Now, here in the United States, the numbers were different. I think you had more white folks. The white populace was bigger than the black population of enslaved people, enslaved black people. In the Caribbean, where I'm from, it was the other way around. I think in a place like Haiti, known as Saint Domingue back then, I think you had like 500 enslaved Africans to one white person. Now, we know what they did down there, but on some of the other islands, it was the same exact thing. There were much more of us. So what Kanye's words, in terms of Kanye's words, they would pertain more to us in the Caribbean than they did over here, where you had enslaved Africans, but the overall white population was bigger than what you had in the Caribbean. Still to this very day, it's the same thing. Black folks are the majority people in these Caribbean islands. Over here, you have the opposite. You know, black folks are a minority. You have more white folks than you do have black folks. So Kanye's words would be a little bit more pertinent to us in the Caribbean. Now, outside of that, he did not see things through in terms of the fact that it was not a choice. Yes, you could say there was a certain amount of docility where folks were just docile, just took it, figured, hey, you know what, I don't want to die. I want to stick around for my children. I'll just do whatever these people say because they have guns. They use torture as a measure to cause us to comply, to stay obedient, to stay in place. You have those situations where they tossed in religion and taught you things like, hey, in the book of Philemon in the Bible, it says that it's, you know, a slave should be obedient to their masters. They also use religion in the sense that, hey, look, you don't have to worry about what's going on in this life. If you're a slave in this life, if you're suffering in this life, if you're going through hard times in this life, don't worry about it. In the next life, you will inherit all these great things, bliss, no pain, no agony, no anguish, none of this nonsense. You'll be walking streets of gold and all the other garbage that they taught them. Religion is very potent. And it helped to keep or neutralize a lot of the people in the enslaved African population. So that's another thing. Of course, we also have the other thing where you have a lot of people who are, I should say a lot of people, but we're not all created equal. Some of us have very rebellious spirits. But one thing that I know with most humans, inherent in all of us, is a need to survive. A desire to survive, a desire to stay alive. And a lot of these people know that it was almost instant death, or sure death, or torture, lots of pain, or maiming, if they did not comply to the wishes of their white oppressors. Okay, I'm not going to knock them. I do realize that self-preservation is what drives us. And some people decided, you know what, let me deal with the nonsense more than lose my life, lose a limb, lose my family, or whatever it may have been. But it does not mean that you did not have Africans who did not rise up in rebellion. Sometimes they were individuals. They poisoned their slave master. Sometimes there were individuals, a group of them who plotted something, escaped into the hillsides, at least in the Caribbean. Some of them got to the ocean, swam to a nearby island to get away. There were many rebellions that took place that never got off the ground. I shouldn't say took place, but there were rebellions that were planned that never got off the ground because somebody snitched it out. Somebody freaked. There were rebellions that took place that lasted for some time, like on the island of St. John in the Danish West Indies, today's U.S. Virgin Islands. A rebellion that took place where the enslaved Africans captured the island for 6 months. Or a successful rebellion like one that happened in Haiti that led to the independence of that country and its people. You had some in Barbados, you had in Guyana, revolts that took place. Many of them that happened, it may have just been a local rebellion on a particular plantation that led to partial success because maybe some escaped, some lost their lives. You had Tacky's rebellion in Jamaica that actually was pretty successful for some time until, believe it or not, another black person took Tacky out with a gunshot. So when Kanye says whatever he had to say, it makes it sound like collectively we all just sat there, or our ancestors just all sat there and just took this, that nobody rebelled, nobody spoke up, nobody risked their lives, nobody put their lives on the line, that no one lost their lives to show that this was not something they were happy about. So, as I said, his comments are rather myopic, short-sighted, did not think it all the way through. No, I can pretty much guarantee you that there was no African who was getting up in the morning and saying, wow, I love this. I choose this life. I want to keep this life going because it's fantastic, it's great. Just because they endured does not mean that it's something that they wanted to be in. But one thing I will say, he opened up some dialogue about this particular topic. So in his defense, up to a point, I understand what he was trying to say. But again, if he thought it through a little bit more, he would realize that he had to qualify his statement, which he did not. So I just wanted to just bring this up. I just figured I'll just touch on the topic since I'm here talking about it and since it's something that was pressing on my mind while I was away on vacation. But I'm back, so start looking out for my videos again. You can go down in the comment section, you can put comments down there, you can share the video with your friends, and you can also subscribe to the channel. Okay? So until the next video, let me check out for now. I'm sure there's something I didn't think about, something I didn't say, just did this off the cuff. But until the next time, or until I see you in the comments to respond to you, okay? You guys take care. Have yourself a great day.